I'm Mehdi Hassan. Welcome to Deconstructed. Another week, another so-called immigration crisis. The midterms are around the corner and the racists and nativists are out in force. If the media is to be believed, the United States is about to be overrun by hordes of terrorists and criminals from Central America. And we're not just talking about Fox News or Breitbart, we're talking mainstream media organizations. ABC News called it the Caravan crisis. The Associated Press, AP, ran a piece headlined, "A ragged growing army of migrants resumes march towards US." I mean, seriously, an army marching towards the US? What, to invade and occupy this poor, weak, defenseless, borderless country? Come on, this is a, quote, caravan of innocent men, women and children, unarmed people, the most vulnerable of the vulnerable, refugees, asylum seekers, people fleeing violence and persecution, and yes, extreme poverty too. They come from countries, by the way, like Honduras, which the US helped destabilize by backing violent coups and turning a blind eye to state-sponsored violence and persecution. To follow Donald Trump's lead and present these people as an assault on America,
that is an assault on our country,
is irresponsible, dishonest, alarmist, and racist. Even if all 7,000 people make it across the border into the US and claim asylum, which is highly unlikely, that would only represent around 1% of all US asylum cases. 1%.
And in that caravan, you have some very bad people.
And yet 2 weeks away from the midterms, Trump and his racist cronies have succeeded in getting the quote-unquote liberal media to focus on this mythical threat from Central America rather than, the ongoing attacks on healthcare and Medicaid, their regressive tax cuts, Trump's own history of tax fraud, the murder cover-up in Saudi Arabia, the Russia investigation, and of course the guy accused of sexual assault that they forced onto the Supreme Court. But this is why Trump won. Seriously. This is why Trump won. At every turn, at every juncture, in his journey to the Oval Office, and since he entered that office, a mainstream media that supposedly hates him and that he supposedly hates, wittingly or unwittingly, helps him, boosts his message, echoes his lies, reinforces his racism, and dances to his white nationalist tune.
You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist.
What's so frustrating is that this bogus immigration crisis centered on this caravan distracts us from what really has been an immigration crisis at the border, a moral and political catastrophe at the border, the so-called separation of migrant kids from their parents by the Trump administration. There are still 66 kids held in detention, still, even now, who were quote-unquote separated from their parents. One of those children is under the age of 5. In total, remember, more than 2,500 kids were torn apart from their parents by this administration. A lot of those parents, hundreds of them, have already been deported from this country. Then there are the unaccompanied kids who came to the US alone. There are more than 12,000 of them now being held in detention. 12,000! That's more than 5 times the number that were in custody 18 months ago, and a record high. It's barbaric. It's a moral disgrace. It's a crime. And it should be, in a normal world, it would be a political catastrophe for the president that caused it. And yet Trump carries on with his presidency, as if all is fine with kids at the border. Children were taken from their parents against their will, without their consent, sometimes without their knowledge, by the United States government. They were stolen. Oh, we're taking your kid next door for a shower. The kid never comes back. Oh, your son or daughter will be right here waiting for you when you get back from your court hearing. They aren't. A baby is torn from her mother's breast whilst in the middle of feeding. That's theft, plain and simple. And let's not forget what has happened to some of these kids in detention. We've seen reports of kids who were assaulted, handcuffed to chairs, forced to drink toilet water, held down and injected with sedatives and antipsychotics which left them unable to walk. So this is a story of theft, of child abuse, and of racism all rolled into one. Let's be clear about that. But here's what the President of the United States thinks.
They look so innocent. They're not innocent.
These kids are not innocent, he says. Disgusting. Seriously. Even by his standards, disgusting. And look, I get it. The Obama administration did some horrific things when it came to immigration and border security, from deporting millions of people to detaining unaccompanied kids.
President Obama has deported more undocumented workers than President Bush did.
2 million undocumented immigrants have been deported from the U.S. since Barack Obama entered the White House.
The number of immigrants deported under President Obama approaches 2 million.
We shouldn't give Obama a pass on immigration, but nor should we deny that Trump is way worse. And one of the main reasons he's worse is because his immigration policy isn't a reaction to an actual migrant crisis, to increasing numbers at the border, or even to pressure from the press or the public. It's a product of, it's motivated by white nationalism.
At an Oval Office meeting, President Trump lashed out at immigrants from countries in Africa and the Caribbean. Why are we having all these people from blank countries come here, the president said. President Trump then suggested the U.S. allow more immigrants from countries like Norway.
It's been a pleasure to host you today.
So let's not discuss or debate immigration or asylum or border security in a vacuum, as so many in the media seem to do. Let's discuss it in the context of a presidency that is driven by white nationalism, an administration that has no qualms, stealing, detaining and abusing migrant children in order to appease its racist base and to get that basis to come out and vote for more of the same.